Hi everyone, welcome back to Social Studies. We are going to go through part 1 of our vocabulary today. Our objectives is students will learn about how location helps us identify where places are located on a map or globe, which is location. We have been talking about the 5 themes of geography. Today we're going to spend some more time on location, which is one of our 5 themes that we were introduced to last week. So our vocabulary words. Our first word is continent. Say continent. Good, a large area of land. Hopefully you have watched my previous video where I go into a little bit more detail about what a continent is versus a country. That is something very important you will want to know, the difference between a continent and a country. If you don't know that, go back and watch the previous video. Our next words say absolute location. Good. This is the exact location of a place. So absolute location is the specific point on Earth's surface that we can find a place. So for example, when you put your exact address in, we're also going to talk about coordinates, which looks something like this right here. Think to yourself, have you ever seen coordinates before? That is something we are going to be working on this week as well. Next, say parallels. Good. This is another name for lines of latitude. So on our lines here, you see that they are one on top of each other. They will continue on like this, and they will never touch each other. They will keep going parallel. That means they will never cross each other. They will keep going in the same direction forever and ever when we have these arrows at both ends here. Our parallel lines are horizontal, which means they are going side to side. Say horizontal. Good. So again, horizontal lines are going side to side. Think of it as the horizon. The sun is coming up on the horizon, and the horizon is horizontal. It's side to side. All right, when we see that sun coming up and we're looking across the land there, the land would be horizontal. Next, say grid. Good. Squares formed by lines on a map that make finding a location easier. This is something that we practiced in the previous weeks, so hopefully something like this looks a little familiar. Again, this is a grid. This is an alphanumeric grid. That's a tricky one, but try saying it. Alphanumeric grid. Very good. This is a grid that uses letters and numbers to label the grid. So if you zoom in here, you can see that there's numbers on one side and letters on the other side. You find a point on your map, and then you can see where that letter and where that number intersect, which means they cross, and that could give you the exact location of a place. Next, we're going to talk about the word hemisphere. Say hemisphere. Good. This is half of a sphere. So look at this first picture here. This is the picture of a sphere. Okay, that is a circular object. So think of our Earth. Our Earth is a sphere. It is circular. If we were to cut our Earth in half, we would have different hemispheres. So if you look here, we are cutting this sphere in half. That gives us one hemisphere here and one here. So 2 hemispheres in this picture. We just cut the sphere in half and it goes into hemispheres. Oops. You could also cut it this way, so horizontally. And that would also be a way to cut our sphere in half. Our next topic is intermediate directions. Say intermediate directions. Very good. So we want to take a look at directions first. So directions are our normal ones that we're used to. We have north at the top, east over here, south at the bottom, and west on this side here. So N-E-S-W. A great way to remember that is never eat soggy waffles. You're just looking at that first letter in each word. So N stands for never, E stands for eat, S stands for soggy, and W stands for waffles. So never eat soggy waffles, because who would want to eat soggy waffles? That'd be gross. So that is just a little tool to help you remember the main directions that we have. So those are our 4 main directions. However, what happens if you're going in between one of those directions? Say you're not going exactly north, you're not going exactly east, but you're in between there. That's when we use our intermediate directions, which are northwest, east-west, southwest, and southeast. So for example, NE is going to stand for northeast. It has some of our north, it has some of our east. It is right in between, so we call it northeast. We also have SE, which stands for southeast. It is in between our south and our east. And then we also have our southwest. It is in between the W and the S, so it is southwest. And lastly, northeast. We are in between our W and our N, which is a northwest. You want to pause the video and take a look at this compass a little more. That might be helpful for you in understanding these directions, because we really will need to know north, east, south, and west before moving on to our other vocabulary words. So remember north, east, south, west. Never eat soggy waffles. All right. That is so important when we go to look into our latitude lines. Say latitude. Good. Latitude are lines that run east and west around the earth. So look at our compass here. East to west. They're horizontal. They go east to west. Our lines of latitude, you can see they're going from east to west. They're going all the way across our earth, and they are parallel, which means they will never touch. They are distanced in a way where they will keep going around our earth here. So those are our lines of latitude. We also have an equator here. Say equator. Good. Our equator is a latitude line that runs around the middle of our earth. So if we were to take our earth and cut it right in half horizontally, so side to side, if we were to cut it in half, that equator would be the center line that would equally cut our earth in half. So now if we were to do that, we have names for what we would call the top of our earth and the bottom of our earth if we were to cut it in half. The top would be called the northern hemisphere. Say northern hemisphere. Good. So our northern hemisphere would be this top part here, everything above the equator. We also have southern hemisphere. So anything below our equator, say southern hemisphere. Good. The half that is south of the equator. All right. If you're a little confused, you don't have to move on yet. You can rewind the video and rewatch it again, because I know this is hard to grasp. It's a little challenging to wrap our heads around, but we're going to go into this more. This is just our vocabulary overview of the whole unit. Because next we have longitude lines. Say longitude. Good. These are vertical lines, so up and down. Vertical is up and down, that go from the North Pole to the South Pole. So longitude are long lines that go from the top to the bottom of our Earth. So they are up and down. Where our lines of latitude were side to side. So that's the big difference there. Just longitude lines go up and down. Latitude lines go side to side. Meridian, say that word please, meridian. Good, that is another name for a line of longitude. So these lines here, they're also called meridians. That's just another name. With meridians though, we also have the word prime meridian. Please say prime meridian. Good, this is a line of longitude that divides the Earth into the eastern and western hemispheres. So think about the equator. that divides our Earth into the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Our prime meridian divides our Earth the vertical way into the eastern, which is over here, and our western hemisphere. So two halves there. It'd be like if we were cutting our Earth in half, up and down, vertical way, we would have two spheres on the side of our prime meridian. Another vocabulary word here. Oh, this is actually where I am going to... Oh, that's not the one I want to go to. I want to go to this word, and then we will come back to that. That's part of our second vocabulary day, actually. So our other word here, just like I was mentioning previously, Western Hemisphere. Say Western Hemisphere. Good. This is half of the Earth west of the prime meridian. So again, our prime meridian goes up and down. That's just an equal half, cutting our Earth in half equally. So west would be on this side. In the United States, we are part of the Western Hemisphere. And then on the other side is the Eastern Hemisphere. Say Eastern Hemisphere. Very good. Awesome. So I know that was a lot of vocabulary. Thank you for staying with me on that. If you want to rewatch this video because you were confused on some of them, feel free to go back and rewatch parts of this video. Thank you for paying attention, and we will go and continue the rest of our vocab video tomorrow. See you later.